I made a video recently about a thoroughly nasty incident at Exeter University. And I got a couple of comments underneath that video, which really opened my eyes to a situation of which I had no idea. And I'm going to tell you about it now. I'm Granniopteryx. So the story that I gave the video on, I'll leave a link in the description if I remember. It was that a student at Exeter University was talking into his phone late at night to a friend, and somewhere during the conversation, he happened to say veganism is stupid. He also, I think, said something about transgenderism, that he said it made no sense, something along those lines. Next thing he knew, the university night patrol was battering down his door and telling him that he'd been saying unacceptable things. This is when he was in his room. Now, I know the walls in student dorms tend to be paper thin. My son, one of my sons who went to a very prestigious university that should have had better building, said in the first year when he was also in a student dorm, he could hear the young woman in the next room enjoying herself hugely with various other students and some professors, I believe. I think she actually married one of the professors eventually. Okay, so yeah, you can hear what goes on in the next room, but what you say in the privacy of your own room, short of incitement, murderous intent, should stay in your own room as far as everyone else is concerned. Well, no, this student did not release the story because he'd been called to a tribunal or something, and he was under some sort of stricture until he got his degree. And this story was from 2018, and it's only just come out now because he hadn't felt able to talk about it until now. So that struck me as a pretty dreadful thing and a bad sign for Exeter University. Now, Exeter University is what we call a Russell Group university. There are the big universities, the ancient ones, Cambridge and Oxford. Do you know what? I think Durham is part of that group of old universities as well. If I've missed you out, Durham, if I'm wrong there, please do excuse me. And then after that, there are the Russell Group universities, which are considered go quite posh. Manchester University is one of them. I don't know what the others are, but not offhand. And then there's apparently Exeter is also part of this Russell Group. So somebody sent me one of the comments was I can't find it now. It was something like, what about the disgraceful way Jewish students have been treated at Exeter University? I'd never heard of it, but I went onto the internet, of course, and I typed in Exeter University Jewish students, and I got this from the Jewish Chronicle. Terrified Jewish students flee campus after abuse from a 100-strong mob. So apparently, one group of Exeter students had singled out the Jewish students at Exeter University and were, which was a smaller group, and were bullying them. And according to what I'm reading here, Exeter is fine with that. Yeah, so a student saying into his phone that veganism is stupid, that puts him in, that has the police bashing down his door and a sort of mini trial. But this sort of thing, no, that's cool. It says here, Terrified Jewish students are fleeing Exeter University campus after being surrounded and abused by a mob of 100 students while manning an Israeli stall. So third-year international relations student Rojin Sena Kamte, who helped put the information stall together in the university forum on Wednesday, said, "It was our first stall since October the 7th. We wanted to put the other side to students who've been protesting for Palestine every week. Instead, we were harassed and abused. Things were thrown at them. People were screaming at them. Here are the people," and that's all they were doing. This is just a table with the flag of Israel behind them. And Kante said she approached university security about the incident and requested police presence, but was told no crimes were being committed. So so the Exeter University didn't have time for this, but they did have time for somebody having a private conversation in his dorm room. And when you hear of a student being harassed because somebody reported him for saying something that she disagreed with, you know there is something. It's not an isolated instance. You know there is something wrong with that university. And when you see something like this happening, Jewish students have to run from a university because of abuse from the students, you know there's something deeply rotten in that university. So I looked a bit more about the University of Exeter, and I found, I didn't know about this either, University of Exeter has the European Centre for Palestine Studies, which, since there is no such thing as Palestine, it's like having a European Centre for Ruritanian Studies. There was a geographical area called Palestine, which included Jordan, what is now Jordan, Lebanon, part of Syria, what is now Israel, Gaza, all that area. And it was an administrative area without a particular culture of its own. It was various groups, and among those were many Jews, at one point more Jews than Arabs, and at one more point during the 19th century, I mean, and I'll bet you that doesn't come in there. I'll bet they don't say that because the Ottomans kept a census, and apparently I do remember one statistic where the Jews in Jerusalem outnumbered the Arabs, the Christians, all the various denominations of Christianity that were there, the Armenians, the Germans, the Church of England, and the Muslim Arabs. The Jews in Jerusalem outnumbered them all. But I'll bet you that doesn't turn up in this. I am quite sure that this is heavily financed by places like Qatar or other interested, wealthy Muslim countries, and they have this Centre for Palestine Studies, as if Palestine had any reality. So you can imagine that they have groups of people there who are interested in bullying the few Jewish students they can lay their hands on. Well, that's it. That's Exeter. My assumption is that it is a deeply corrupt place, and if you have any relatives thinking of going there, I'd advise you to advise them to think again. All right, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com, and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.